Hey, my name is Paul, and I'll be walking through the advent of code solutions and designing the algorithms for solutions. So, each video, which I will post, I suppose, every day, will consist of solution for a day. So, I've already worked through 7, and the 7th day is not still done, but I think that it should be motivating to record this and to walk through everything just to understand it better. So the first day is probably most of the least difficult problem that I've seen. It's about understanding. It has like every day consists of two problems. After for finding the answer for the first problem, you you get some additional problem to get then some extra points. But in general, it's the same problem, just an extension. So the first problem is about Santa trying to deliver presents in a large apartment building. So he has a instruction set which has two types of characters. One is the opening parenthesis and the other is the closing one. So starting from ground floor, he needs to, for the first problem, he needs to find which floor he should deliver the problem, the present to. So there's an example of how to understand the data that's given, the characters. So generally, one opening clause goes up and one closing clause, parentheses, goes down. In general, let's just have a look at the data. So that's just a lot of clauses. A straightforward solution would be just using the implemented search engine for that, which is just looking how many of these are opening clauses, which means that the calculator, we can just add one value and then subtract because it goes down with the closing clauses. So it's 3360, so it's 280 at the 280th floor, the present should be there. But yes, then again, the solution just gives us the answer, and it would be also nice to at least have an idea on how to work through that problem. So let's just open the text editor for general purpose, I suppose. And oh yes, and first let's download the data for that. Let's call it day 1. Let's drop it here. Yes. And since there are two problems, let's just call the first file D1 part 1. And later, when we start working on the second part, we'll just call it day 1 part 2. So first of all, let's open the data and read what's in the file. We just read it into your file descriptor, which is in this case named as a variable f. And it seems that this specific data file is based on single line. We can see how does it work with that. So let's just have data So it reads everything there is, and let's just read everything character by character. So car, let's just shorten it up, data. So in this cycle we get a character from the data, but the thing is that the character goes, it doesn't even really matter in what order does it go, because like in general we're just looking for the sum of these all characters, and for this case we just want to look into what's the final floor. So it's just the sum of the, let's call it negative values, which go into the seller, and the positive values which just go up. So we know that one character is the opening parenthesis. Let's just pass it for this moment, and the other one is the closing one, also pass it. So we have the general conditional approach, which means that if one character is reached, then we just have we execute some kind of a command, and there's another if. It's not a else sentence, it's another if, just to be sure. I mean, if there's some other character in this file, so then it would like trigger some errors, in a sense that the final output would be wrong. For example, if we would just get else, we might just interpret any other symbol which is not the opening clause as closing clause, which is wrong. So what we want to do is simply I mean, beforehand we have to like define the floor, which is the ground floor, and then for the opening one it's like increasing the floor by 1. It's shorthand for increasing by 1 value, and for the closing parentheses we just decrease it. So yes, this is it. This, and yes, and at the end we have just to get the value for that. Yes. So it's day 1, part 1. So we instantaneously get the answer, which is 280, and this is actually the case for the puzzle. So let's jump into the problem number 2. Let's create a separate file for that, day 1, 2. And this problem is a bit different, because instead of summing all the clauses, we actually care about the order, because the problem here is we want to find a position whenever the one that presents the presence goes below the ground floor, which means that the floor number is -1. So just to like complete it, the way we had before is we open the file, the data file, same way the read data. Sorry. And in this case we have, so the first part, which was about just getting the characters, we got simply the character, and we actually didn't know its location in this cycle. So in this case we need to know its index, its location, its position. So what we need to get is the position and the, I mean, it could be short position and character n. So a Pythonic way is to enumerate a certain list, because lists contain values. Like, to get an index out of it, we need to apply it into a function enumerates index. Yes. So yes, let's redefine the floor, which because like the one that presents the presence still starts from the ground floor. So we get quite a similar solution for that, because it's still looking at the characters and like summing up or dividing, subtracting, I mean, and it's pretty much a copy paste of this, but just to be concise with every problem, not to mix several problems into one. Let's just like separate it. So what do we need to do next? We got the flow for every cycle, so we need to see if the flow is -1, which is below. Whenever it hits, we don't actually need to look any further, so we need to break. Sorry, which means that the for cycle just exits without finishing enumeration of all the rest of the data. But for this, we just define that we need some kind of position, which is pos. I'll just call it pos. Position pos. Oh, sorry, 0. So what happens here? We just check the value if the floor is -1, and if it is, we save the position into a variable and then just print it, because like after break it exits everything from here. With is a as isolating sentence for a specific file. That way you don't have to write the closure of that. You don't have to close the file. So since it's not much about the problem, it's just like a solution of opening the file. So we have the position. Let's see what we got. Let's open the second part. It's 1796, and we can have a double check with that, because this might just trigger one problem. It says 1797. So what is the problem here? The problem here that in general, everything starts in general. I don't know, probably MATLAB is quite different from other programming languages, but like the most general approach is that everything starts from a 0. But for this problem, we have that the first character is not 0. The first character's position is already 1. So for this case, we just use apply +1, just to clarify that. So this is a simple, well, I don't know, I mean, we could have done something else. For example, we could have just iterated the position variable by simply checking if the floor is -1, then just give an else. We just increase the position by 1, and we start with 1. But in general, I don't know that if it's a good solution, since it's only this problem related, and like to change the whole structure of code is not a good idea just because of a problem. So obviously the problem now is sort of fixed by adding one. So that would be it, and both parts are completed, and that's 2 stars for day 1.